uzodlula qinisela uJehova uzonqoba bambelela qinisela akasoza kushiye wena akasoza kushiye hlane uzodlula qinisela uJehova unawe uJehova unawe qinisela noma udlula esigodini sethunzi lokufa kabelela qinisela uzokuthwala ahambe nawe indlela yonke bambelela kuye ungalahlise yena yabuya ngezingelosi zakhe ngawo uzophendula uyaphendula namanje uzokuphakamisa awukhipho zizini lwakho okungenzeka kubantu kuyenzeka kuye ngeke kulahle uJesu ngeke kulahle akungalungi sikhonza inkosi enamandla akukho kungalungi sikhonza inkosi
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good Sorry, that's an ouch sound. Sorry about that. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about the echo. I'm gonna just give me a moment before I welcome you. Let me just make sure that all the echoes. I'm sorry about that, and then we'll start just now. I also want to try and make sure that I remove all the subtitles. Anyway, so welcome to the panel for unpacking this love issue. This is the love month, so as we wrap up this the month of love, we want to do this in style and talk about love, because a lot of people, almost all of us, wants to be loved, but there are issues. Sometimes we find that we don't feel loved, or we don't receive love as much as we thought we would like to receive it, or as much as we thought we would receive it. So therefore, it brings us to this panel to discuss what are other issues that are around love, and how can we, depending on the sort of level we'll be able to get to, depending on the depth of this discussion we're going to have. So we'll have certain issues. We'll go into a where love now becomes aggressive. Without ado, I want to pray before I introduce the panelists. So ngicela sibambane amehlo sithandaze. Modimo a tshepehileng, Modimo wa mengwaga, Modimo wa matsatsi a otlhe, God of light, God who gives us light, who gives us knowledge, God who guides us, Modimo wa ko mahodimong, Jehovah who's in the heavens. Modimo, we invite you tonight to be with us as we dissect this issue and unpack this issue of love, and so that it can be able to manifest on the flesh and go through in your spiritual level. God, we ask this, that you guide us and you be with us. In Jesus' name, we are asking you to be with us this evening, God. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. So let me get my volume up. Now, I want to introduce each one of you, but I realize that you guys have done a lot of work. So for a change, there's always says ladies first. So I don't want to start with ladies first tonight, for obvious reasons. So let's start with Mr. Fredericks. Can I ask that I see you allow us to see your names? Can you allow us to see your names on the screen? I want when I'm saying hello?
Yeah, mine is on the screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay, let me just I couldn't see the names, but it's fine. So let's go. So that I want to be able to when I'm saying this is who I'm talking about, and people can know who I'm talking about. But it's fine. We'll get that going. So first of all, let me introduce Mr. Frederick. Frederick is Frederick Mamabolo, has LLB, MBA, a Director of Strategy and Innovation at Activation Hub of Change and Project Management Consulting firm. Author of A Winning Myself, Thinking Ahead, and The Peak Matter. Profession, Transformational Life Coaching. Frederick, welcome to the platform, and we really welcome you. I'm going to give you a chance to also introduce yourself once I'm done introducing you, so that you can add some. So let's go to Pastor Komoto. Pastor Komoto, you introduce yourself as the pastor's wife, but this is Miss Winnie Komoto Mokhoti, born and bred in Mobopane, Pretoria, married to Reverend Thabo Mokhoti for 18 years. Reverend Mrs. as a founder and pastor of Holy Sanctuary, IAG, and have been pastoring for 18 years. Wow. They are blessed with 2 kids. They are also part of CEF Christian Family Enrichment Group. Mrs. Mokhoti is an author of the book called To Be a Pastor's Kid. She's also a founder of the Facebook talk show, Diesels of Joy. She's married. She's a marriage counselor and a very passionate about pastors' kids and young people, and moreover, marriages. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope I've done a lot of good in introducing you. But for Tandi, I've got a sort of a special introduction, so I'm going to share my screen for you so that people really understand where you come from. I saw that this is long, so but I've gotten some MK team to work on something for you.
Okay.
I hope you like it. Okay, hold on. There. Yeah.
To be in, because I was being prepared for my purpose. Having struggled with low self-esteem through my teenage years, because for the purpose of this introduction, you can call me, went through hell in most areas of my life for me to come back without smelling smoke. I was persecuted into position and purpose. I've literally cried myself into position and personal freedom. I watched and experienced God putting me in the middle to something and situations I didn't want to be in because I was being prepared for my purpose. Having struggled with low self-esteem through my teenage years because of a loose tongue of my grandmother, who used every opportunity to tell me how ugly I was, I started seeing boys at 13. Because I was seeking validation, and that came with physical abuse at an early age. I gave birth to a stillborn child at 17, and this left such a void in my life. I left my hometown, Port Elizabeth in the Eastern Cape, to find myself being homeless for 8 days and sleeping in a batch at the Devon bus station. I got exposed to men who wanted me to use my body in exchange for food and a place to sleep. I have a non-existent relationship with my mother, as much as she tries daily, but I just can't. Every day I'm trying to prove to her that I'm a better mother than her. Being a single mother of 2 beautiful girls and 1 handsome boy who I once planned and failed to kill a few years ago, you're probably asking, who's the better mom now? I married a con man. I was asked to abort my 6-month-old pregnancy and I refused. I've been cheated on and led to believe I deserved it. I've been in a mental institution for 38 days and I've relapsed twice. I was a total mess then, and I fought my own special kind of drug addiction. I went into a boxing ring with depression, and I won the fight. Having lost everything and then to regain it back was not easy, but I learned my lessons, of course. I decided to let go of everything and start all over again. I am currently running the most powerful women movement in Africa called Duke on Fleek, and everything I went through makes sense now, as I daily have to listen and advise women on issues that I once experienced. I released my shame. I asked for help and I got back again because I saw the world needed me. My name is Nomthandazo Thandi Mavata. I'm 39 years old. Girl, get up again.
Thank you very much. And yes, girl, get up again, okay?
Yeah.
That's deep. Okay, so let's kick it. Let's kick it. I would want Frederick, please just briefly reintroduce yourself, and then just just say those brief things that I didn't say, for like 30 seconds, and then we move on. So now we can start this. We're having a problem with Pastor Ngono. He's having a bit of issues, but we are going on. So go on. Over to you, Frederick, Mama Bolo. Let's hear you.
Thank you very much. My name is Frederick Kaunafatu Mama Bolo. I'm a life coach. In the process of time, that's how far it goes.
Okay. Now, by the way, you didn't tell us that you are also known as the speaker. But anyway, we're about to find out. Komoto, over to you.
Yeah. My name is Winnie Komoto Mukhodzi, and I think you have mentioned quite a lot about me. I'm passionate about my community. I'm passionate about young people and marriages. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Thandi, you wanna add something?
Well, I don't know, but yeah, my name is Nomthandazo Thandi Mavata. Born and bred in the Eastern Cape, of course, and I'm very passionate about women and children issues. And I am an accountant by profession, but I left that field to actually take care of women and children matters in the country.
Okay, thank you very much. Komoto, you wanna add something before I say something, or you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. Well, I'm an author of a book called To Be a Pastor's Kid. It launched last year. Yeah, so it's been selling well, and yeah, I think that's maybe that.
Thank you very much. You know me, I'm your host, Dr. Kekana, aka Pastor Kekana as well. Just to say something on what you said, Tando, is that Thandi, I mean, you said that at some point you had to prove a point because of a loose tongue from your grandmother and stuff. So you had to prove yourself more. Yes. This thing of being hurt from a child, from a childhood goes a long way. I I ended up doing modeling just to prove a point, because when I was growing up, I was told that I'm dark and ugly. But anyway, so I end up on one of the known soapies in South Africa, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not advertising them. But that's how much it can go, that you want to prove yourself. So when you say get up again, I agree with you. In any case, so let's kick this. You will realize your questions are going to start running down. So I want us to start discussing, this thing of, love, and we don't know that there's many types of love. I mean, many people don't know. They just think love is just one way thing. So I want us to go through and discuss and talk about the different types of love. So this is for you, Pastor Khomoto. Please take us through those two types of love quickly.
Okay, thank you very much, Pastor Kekana. I'm going to be talking about the two types of love, which is the eros, and I'll also take us through the pragma. So when we talk about eros, we're talking about the romantic kind of love. And a lot of us maybe might remember the word Cupid. And, the word Cupid, meant something to most of us, especially those that are in their 35s, 40s, 50s, because there used to be a show called Cupid, and everybody would rush and look at this show that talks about love. But and the word eros was actually derived from a mythological Greek god of love. So, but even in the Bible, we see this kind of love being reflected in the book of Songs of Solomon. We don't see a lot about this kind of love in the Old Testament, but we see it reflecting in the book of Songs of Solomon, and that's where it speaks about the sexual kind of love, the physical attraction kind of love. So the eros kind of love, it's physically connecting with another person. And when we look at it in a biblical aspect, we understand that the word of God actually prohibits us as children of God to be able to engage in this kind of love if we are not married. We see it being presented as a love that can be shared between a man and a woman, and married men and a woman, not just a man and a woman. So as children of God, we understand the fact that this kind of love can only be shown where there's a relationship between a man and a woman, and in that way they can be able to show affection to each other. And therefore I think for me, when I look at this kind of love, it's quite interesting, because it's the kind of love that ends a lot of people in trouble. And it's quite interesting because, this is the kind of love that can actually cause people to go into many immorality, into adultery and so forth. So it's the kind of love that ends people most of the time in hot water. And when we look at the pragma kind of love, it's the enduring love. So for me, when I look at the under love and the enduring love, I think it goes hand in hand. When God created a man and a woman, he created them to be able to love each other romantically, to be able to engage and enjoy each other in a romantic manner. So as you would know, when two people are married for a long time, they tend to move from the romantic kind of love, and they will move into this pragma kind of love, which is the enduring love, because now romance is something that will not drive them anymore, because you must remember that most of the time, the romantic kind of love is brought by what we see. Sometimes we can be connected to people spiritually or in other ways, but most of the time when we talk about the romantic love, it's love that is brought by things that we see and things that attracts our eyes. And therefore, most of the time, that is the kind of love. But once we move into the pragma kind of love, is that love where we enjoy in that kind of environment, we enjoy each other and we are able to live comfortably. And the pragma kind of love, it's quite interesting because, you know, it's that love where people are comfortable with each other. It's that love that allows people to be even longer in relationship and being able to enjoy each other's company without touching or whatever. But, you know, by the fact that that person is there, you feel content, you feel comfortable. And this kind of love, we actually see it, it doesn't come much as well in the Bible, but we see it with Abraham and Sarah. And then we can also say that, you know, between Rachel and Boaz. But there are some of the people in the Bible that we see presenting that kind of love.
Okay, thank you very much for breaking it down. So, as a summary, romantic endurance love. So, one example that one can use is that you'll find the old couples still holding hands after many years of being married. That is that pragma kind of love, because eros kind of love, it runs out because it's fueled up about certain attractions. So in a long due, it actually decreases. Thandi, there's a question rolling down there.
Oh wow!
Take us through the philia and philatia kind of love. What is that?
Okay.
I love the fact that I'm sorry. I love the fact that I love the fact that people usually talk about self-love. I want us to zoom in into this affectionate love and the self-love, so they understand what they mean when they talk about self-love. Not selfish,
Great.
not arrogance, self-love.
I'm actually grateful that you actually gave me that question, because it's something that I'm quite passionate about. And I probably mentioned to you in our pre-interview that I see it probably totally different than other people, how they would see it. But let me break it down how I and the reason why I probably sent you what I sent you, the little script I sent you about my history or myself, is because I do want to base this discussion, or rather also put it out there to the panel, that we try and also talk about how is it that we have to actually find ourselves in a position where we're going to have to find, or rather get to a position where we teach ourselves how to love ourselves throughout our journey. So personally, I feel we faced with a lot of people who do not love themselves, do not even know how to love themselves, because we're from a society that teaches us to actually almost put other people before us. And if you listen to The Voice, for the better part of my life, I knew that I was ugly, and I actually grew up. I remember I was in varsity, and all I knew was that there's just no way that anyone would even appreciate or even love me, because firstly, I'm ugly. I'm from a poor family, and this was not something that I picked up from the street, but I picked it up from home. So I found myself surrounded by aunts, including my mother, who couldn't teach me how to love myself. But even with that said, these are people that I could tell that they don't even love themselves. So here you are, you're young, you're growing up, and you are in that environment. And you then need to go out to the world and then find yourself having to teach yourself how to love yourself. So with that said, I personally feel I mean, in the Bible, we taught love from and that's where I'm grateful, because when I found God, that's when I actually found love. I managed to love myself because God showed me who I am in his eye. And I ended up also finding love from me being able to know how I want people to love me. So to answer the question, I think self-love really starts within. You need to love yourself first, and you need to know what even that love is. Then you'll be able to also project and also know how you want other people to even treat you or love you. I don't know if I'm answering the question.
Yeah. No, that's you said it right. What I can just add is that self-love does not mean narcissistic. It does not mean selfish.
Yeah.
So people usually when they say this is self-love, they become selfish, but this is not what it means.
No.
But again, so I want us to Mr. Fredericks. I want to project your question then. There we go. Ludus, playful love, mania, obsessive love. Please teach us.
Thank you very much. And my name is still Patrick Mama Boy. I would like to go just back a little 1 second. Is that what we basically are talking about here tends to be the methods in which love takes expression rather than the stage in which love is. Love finds its root in the heart, and then it finds its power and meaning in the expression. So at different stages in interacting with the one you claim to love, you take a form or two or even more expression to express that love. And what determines which expression you choose does not only depend upon you, it also depends upon the person you are dealing with. And not just the person you're dealing with, the circumstances under which you are dealing with the person. And not only that, the environment that prevails within you at the time when such love is to be expressed. With that said and done, let's go here to the two. The mania type of love, which according to the Greek, this is a playful love. This is the love that causes you to want to flirt. No, rather, let me start with the ludus. I want to start with the ludus, and for a particular reason. I want to start with the ludus before going to mania, because ludus is the common love at the first stage of most relationship. Meaning, you and your husband, you and your wife, when you started, it was not eros that came to play. It was not all this 8 version that came to play. At first, it was a form of ludus that came to play. In other words, you looked at the person, you felt something, you wanted to do some things. Probably you don't even feel like doing those things now. And you felt like getting them the world and evacuating all of us at that time. And that's what ludus does to your brain. It finds its root not necessarily in the heart. It finds its root particularly in the head. It does some stuff to your head. That's why, if not well managed, it doesn't promote you to eros and all the other forms of self-love, the love that is diligent and sustainable. This is where the trap of love is on ludus. The trap is there because many enjoy this stage of love or these seasons of love to such an extent that they don't want to move anywhere else. In fact, it gets better. When they move to another form, they feel like love is gone because they have lost the ludus. And it doesn't mean the love is lost. It just means that there has been transformation because of circumstances and environment that prevails within one. So at ludus, we flirt. At ludus, we chat and send each other all those things. When I see you, there's butterflies all over me. You are the only one. I see you in my tea. I can't eat without you. You are everything to me. Teddy Pendergrass, Ari Kelly comes into the play. You name them. That's Ludas. That's what it will do. It was God's intention in design that we have such a love in the beginning. Because at the beginning, without Ludas, you won't be able to stick. So this one, it's sort of the glue that sort of brings you together. But don't depend upon it to sustain a marriage. Don't depend upon it to grow children. Don't depend upon it to marry someone. Its purpose, its reception. It basically, that's why at our reception, you put the most good looking woman, you put the most good looking air conditioning, and everything looks good. But that is different from what is happening in the production room behind the scenes.
Inside.
And so Ludas is the reception of love. And it's the butterfly stage of love. Now, let me wrap it up and say this. You can be married for 20, 35 years, and somewhere along your journey, there will be some Ludas episodes. The Ludas episodes are those days where you say, let me take you out to go watch sunset. Let's go out and have some ice cream. Those are the Ludas episodes. They are important because remember, Ludas is the glue. So from time to time, you add some glue to the love and keep it sticking together. You are doing yourself an injustice if you are going to dwell in all types of love and don't periodically visit Ludas. I want to urge you, come visit Ludas from time to time. Here is the danger of not visiting Ludas. If you don't visit Ludas, Ludas might visit you. And when it visits you, it doesn't go by your rules. It goes by its rules. And this is what that happened. Ludas will cause you to sit next to your husband and talk to Jimmy. Ludas will cause you to sit next to your wife and talk to Mary. Because you never visited Ludas with your husband, Ludas will visit you with a candidate. So it just present you with a candidate and say, here is some extramural activities. Those you find saying, I was not happy, therefore I cheated, you find that there was a Ludas problem. The church has been doing a great injustice in this area. They have not been talking about this because they have called it demonic. And because they have called it demonic, we felt good in it and we went out for demonic, and we were having demonic all the way. And that's why when you and your wife start to be in the Ludas zone, you start asking your wife, where did you learn all these things that you are doing?
These things.
Because you are thinking Ludas have no room in marriage. You're thinking Ludas have no room in a Christian marriage. You are doing yourself an injustice and great mess. Enjoy Ludas and welcome episodes of Ludas from time to time. Ludas is your friend if you manage him correctly. I said when I started, love is a strategy that finds its meaning and its power in expression. If you love someone and you never find a way to express it, that doesn't mean you don't love. It just means that your love has no meaning and it has no power, because it finds its power the things you do and in the methods in which you do. I think I took too long, so I won't go into the mania. So let me put a pause there so I can be a team player.
Very informative.
Yeah. You see what I meant about the caliber of this man. Anyway, so mania, we don't necessarily want it. So if we get to that level where we are going to be discussing about abusive relationship, we'll go back to this mania because it's an obsessive love, and we don't necessarily want something like that. I always say that when you start with Ludas, it's like somebody hugging you with their hands are open, and each time the years goes by in the relationship, the hug is so tight that you can't even breathe in it. So that's where obsession comes in. You hug somebody, you release the hug, and then now later on when there's mania, the claws and everything are into somebody else's flesh and they start feeling pain. That's mania for you. Anyway, you wanted to say, Frederick?
I wanted to say one thing we have done as an injustice, as far as mania is concerned, is that especially Christians, they spend a lot of time, and I'm going to throw this out and leave it there. We'll come back to it. Christians, we find ourselves dwelling in mania, and I will come and elaborate on that. We dwell too much on this mania, and by mania I mean obsessive love. That's where you are so jealous, you are so possessive, you are not romantic, but you're possessive. In other words, when she grabs a phone, you ask, who are you talking to? When she is not home on time, where the hell are you? And whenever she smiles at a guy at church, you have a problem. Mania, if you want to see that you've got this love, if you want to see it, and you are Omam Fundis, as we have Mam Fundis here, she is a best candidate to can find episodes of mania. Mania happens when that single sister, that beautiful single sister, starts talking to Umfundis there at the corner there, and all smiles, and Umfundis is moving side to side, and you will feel mania coming up to the surface, saying, especially this very one, you know, and it's that. And when you have a sister with a background, a past of having done stuff with men, when we see that sister with our man, and I mean, if for a woman's sake, mania immediately comes to the surface. The episode of mania comes to the surface. You even want to go there and say to your husband, baby, where are the car keys? Just to disturb how you feel about this whole thing. Because mania has visited you. And it does visit the best of us, I'm telling you. But here's the problem. It usually have a cause. It might be your self-esteem, you who's experiencing it. It might be the things that the other one has done, meaning the person has been unfaithful before and you're dealing with them from a mean perspective. Or you have a self-esteem wherever you come from. So now you walk in mania into a, let's stop there.
Very interesting.
Hey, you know, you dissected it so well, so well. There is two kind of love that are remaining, agape and the storage love. So I'm going to quickly go through that. We're supposed to give it to Mfundisi, who is unable to join in even now. So listen, we know that the agape is the love that we actually preach at church. This is what we talk about, the love of God. Prof says, love is God. God is love. So this is the love where we say, God so loved us that he sacrificed with his own son so that we can see life and love and life everlasting. So this is the kind of love that it's a love for mankind. It's a love of God for mankind. It's unconditional love. The Bible puts it that way. And then you have storge love. This is a love that you have to a family member. It's a love from the love you have from a child to a parent. You know, love between family members. That's the kind of love that you have. So these loves are different. And then how we define this will help us going ahead to actually now know what type of love we're talking about. And the next one I'm going to talk about now, what we're going to ask you guys to talk about is the love language. So this is a part where we then will have to discuss with our partners. And remember, when we talk about partners, we are not limiting it male and female, a woman and a man. You know, there's a lot of partnership that we have to acknowledge, even on this platform, so that we don't exclude those kind of relations. Though. So now I want us to quickly talk about, before, you know, there's certain questions that I want us to get to, but I want us to talk about the love languages. We've got 5 love languages, right? So after defining all this, so I want us to now go to love languages. Now that we have type of love, Komoto, quickly talk to us about words of affirmation. What you know, how does this love language work? what is it, and how does it work? How can one use this words of affirmation? Because if you don't use words of affirmation, you use the opposite, it tends to hurt other people. And then Utola, the person is fighting back the issues of a previous relationship on the present relationship. Now they mess it up more. Over to you.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to words of affirmation, sometimes we find people that hypothetically are from maybe abusive relationships. And for me, when we talk about words of affirmation, I think even in relation, it can be in a marriage relationship, it can be in a friendship relationship, people would love to know, like when you look at them, they want to know where they stand with you. And to affirm someone, you always need, to tell them that you appreciate them, to tell them that you love them. I don't think there's hypothetically a friend that will stick around if you say words that hurt them. For instance, if you're going to have a friend that is always saying things that are hurting to you. Tandi actually said earlier that her grandmother used to say things like, you are ugly, nobody will appreciate you. There is no one that would want to find themselves in a situation whereby, hurtful words are said to them. And even in any relationship, being a relationship of marriage, being a relationship of friendship or any other, if we're going to use words that are not growing us as people, obviously you would not feel comfortable to be able to stay in that kind of an environment. And I think every person wants to find themselves in environments where, they get kind words, they get words that are able to grow them as people. So it is very important to be aware of how we say things, either to our spouses, to our friends, to our families, because words can either, build us or break us. So in any way where we find ourselves, we need to know how to use words in order to be able to build one another, in order to make each other to be better people.
Yeah, having said that, thank you very much. Omunye umfundisi said ukuthi, the women, and they don't get hurt with what they see. They get hurt with the words that you launch to them. So you can walk topless in the garden there and they wouldn't have any problems. But once you start saying harsh words to them, those ones stick. So, we frustrated just a little bit. So straight, So, but what do you say about physical touch? How is this? How is this that people who the only way that they communicate their love is when they are touched physically by their partner. Some they just want affirmation, words of affirmation, but some they want physical touch. So you having been in a marriage for that long, how are this love language, physical touch? How important is it to be able to communicate love?
Yeah, so I think both of them play a big part, especially in an environment of a marriage, because if you live with a person, obviously, like for instance, maybe what Tate Mama Bolo was saying, to say that sometimes we need to play a little bit as partners to make sure that we rekindle that love. But on my side, when I met my husband, I didn't have that playful kind of love that connected us. It was quite different. But it is always good to have that playful kind of love. And I think that's where the touching come into place. Because if you are married to a spouse for whatever long that you are married to, if it happens that they don't even, touch you for 2 weeks or a week, you start having questions in your mind to say that, or are they seeing someone Why is he not hugging me? Why is he not kissing me? Why is he not doing that or that? So those kind of love languages, we need all of them in a marriage, because the touch, the words of affirmation, that's what makes us to even stick closer to each other for a longer time. Because if people don't, if I'm in a marriage and I don't get those things within my marriage, it's the same thing that Mama Bulu was saying, to say that then you find that I'm sitting next to my husband, but I'm speaking to Peter. My husband is sitting to me, but he's speaking to Mary. And that's why in a marriage kind of setup, it's important for us to be able to use this love languages, because those are the things that connect us to each other.
Thank you very much. Well said. So Tandy, let's go to you. There's a question there. There are people who the only way that they feel loved is by receiving gifts. Now we are on a third love language. We talked about words of affirmation, we talked about physical touch, and I want the listeners to be able to identify what type of love language they actually would prefer, so that it becomes easy for you when you try to communicate. So receiving gifts, what are the issues with receiving gifts as the kind of a love language?
Which is, I personally think it's coming from also my past, but I prefer, and I think a lot of people who prefer receiving gifts, it's all about you are leaving something with me. So it's you bought me a vase. I'll always keep that vase, and it will always remind me of Khomotso bought me the vase. And for me, it also nesses the part, and you want to show how you are celebrating my birthday. So bringing a gift versus you telling me, which is, other people appreciate the happy birthday, waking up in the morning, somebody singing, but some, or in my case, I'd rather have a gift. You can buy me one rose, I'd appreciate it. You can buy me a muffin, I'll appreciate the fact that you bought me something, because I feel I carry that, and I always remember that I got it from Khomotso. So I think it's also coming from just wanting to have something to hold on to as a love language. So I wouldn't say people, maybe not everyone likes receiving gifts like me, but I think it's quite a nice thing, because you get to carry something with you. You get to have something to hold on to.
Wow, thank you. And we must just stay a bit so that so that people don't feel pressure. There is a difference between you having the love language of receiving gifts and somebody just plainly wanting to be impressed by materialistic things, right? So there's a huge difference between somebody who's materialistic and somebody who wants to receive gifts. So that means that the person who likes receiving gifts as a love language, it does not matter the value. It is what we call it doesn't matter how much that is, but it's something that they want to keep as to be reminded all the time of the love. So let's now switch over.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, just to add on that, for me, it's almost like, even if a person is saying, I want to apologize. Yes, it could be nice for you to say I'm sorry, but it would be more nicer for you to actually walk in and carrying ice cream to say I'm sorry. It feels better than. So it's not about the size. It just feels way much better, and I appreciate it more than the sorry. So yeah.
Yeah, you see, that one I'm gonna come back to it. You'll see what I'm gonna do with that issue of ice cream and saying I'm sorry, and you see what I'm gonna do about it. Anyway, Ntate Mamabolo,
Okay.
let's talk about quality time
Yeah.
as one of the love languages. How important is quality time? You can have all these things and give them gifts and send them up a WhatsApp and a blue. Talk to us.
Okay. What we're talking about now is love languages.
Yeah.
Now, come with me. I want to take you somewhere. A language is usually associated with either a culture or a particular place, meaning here in Limpopo, we will speak Bedi, Benda, and Shanga. All right. And in the KZN, they would have Zulu and all the other languages there. The languages are very closely attached to a place. Now, let's take love and say love is the world. And the types of love are the continents. And the expression, like for example, Mania would be one continent of the world called love. And that Mania continent will have its countries being the obsession, the jealousy, and all those. I'm not sure if we're still together there.
No, we're still. I'm following. Correct.
Okay, good. Depending on which country you are in, the language will change. I don't know if you get that.
Yeah.
So, the love is the world. Mania is that continent that you are in. Mania produces jealousy, obsession, and pain. Depending on the country you are in, the language dominance will change. Let me come with me, I'll show you something. If you are going through a season with your spouse, your counterpart, or your partner, whatever you want to call it, a season of ludus, there will be a lot of touching there. You understand? There will be a lot.
That's the place you are.
That's the season of the day. That is the what is on the surface. Sometimes it can be for a week, or for a month, or for a couple of months, but depending on which type of love is dominant, it will determine first the kind of love languages the people are going to enjoy the most. But the expression of a love language does not really depend upon whether you read the book, the 7 love languages or not. It depends on one thing. It depends upon a theory of value versus need. In other words, what I need, you must value. And what you value, I must need. If you give me something that you need and I don't value it, I won't see it as an expression of love. So basically what I'm basically saying here is, and that's why I wrote an article some years ago called The Peak Matters, and which was ultimately converted into a book. When I say the peak matters, I mean the kind of person you pick determine the kind of relationship you will have. We can give all relationship advices we want to give in the world. It boils down to one thing, the peak. The peak. If you pick right, the rest of the things follows easily. So the language, it's shaped by the needs and the value that the person have. If you come here and you want to spend time with me, and that's not my need, I don't see that as a love language. I don't enjoy it because I don't need it. So I won't value it. I value what I need. And some people who need gifts, even that depends upon the other person. Let me give you a simple principle here. The value of the gift of the giver depends on the needs of the givee, meaning how I will honor what you give me depends on what my needs are, not what your capabilities are. So you spending time with somebody who has always been around people who doesn't need that, it's a waste of time. But all these love languages, especially the issue of spending time there, it has its pros and cons. There are those who are never cared for, who are never given attention, who are never attended to as children. They will take this love language to the brim. They will take it far. They will take it into the city and into the village, and they will abuse the one they are in a relationship with. Because if the guy is not home for 2 minutes, you never spend time with me. You never sit at home. You are always out there. And then you stay home. You are always home. Other guys are out there working. I don't know why you are always sitting here at home. Then you sit home. Why do you do what I tell you? I want a man, not a boy. I want somebody who can make up their mind. So the value of the love language you express depends on the need of the one who must receive it on the other hand. All these love languages can be abused. The one of gift, the touch, and all, they can all be abused. If somebody might just feel, especially, let's talk about the one of the gift. Let me tap into the one of gifts just for a little while. I don't value the one of the gifts. I appreciate it, but I don't value it. I value conversations. You need to tell me you are sorry. You need to tell me why what you did was done so that I can get to the root of it and fix it. But if you come here carrying a car while you didn't want to apologize and I don't know why you lied, but you are bringing a Bentley, please go to hell with your Bentley. Those are not my needs.
See, that's the reason why I wanted to tackle it, but I'm thankful that you're tackling it now. But thank you very much. I wanted to tackle that so hard. Thank you.
No, because as men, we can abuse that love language. And I'm giving you women a tip here. I'm giving you women a tip.
Yes.
When we mess up, but we have a bank balance, we can ask you, why are you crying? I bought you petrol, you got the car. Why are you crying? So we can abuse that particular privilege of the love language. But does it mean you must abandon that love language? This love languages, ladies and gentlemen, were discovered by a scientist. They were discovered by a scientist. They need to be managed with wisdom. The Bible says, my people are perishing because of a lack of this knowledge. In fact, the Bible puts it even further. It puts it even further deep. It says, because you have rejected knowledge, I will therefore also reject you. So here is this then becomes a problem where people have a love language, but they never bothered to understand it. So if your love language is X, work hard on getting the knowledge. Can I say this? It might sound offensive, but let me put it out there and I'll put a full stop to run away. Here it is. Every area you are ignorant in, you shall suffer in. So if you are ignorant as to the details of your love language, we will abuse you using the love language.
No.
So get more.
True.
Get more info, grow in your love language, master it, and also master the season. Ladies and gentlemen, don't demand the love language of personal touch in a season of mania. You will not get it. I am telling you, I'm not prophesying over you. I'm just saying you won't get it. So no media, no touching here. And don't also demand when people are feeling a bit of agape and you want to be touching them. You may not get. You may not get. They want to do the love language of spending time with the Lord now, not you. So you need to understand the type of love that is on the surface, and then the language it will produce, and therefore you won't be disappointed. Remember, most relationships they break because of a heartbreak which was caused by a disappointment which was caused by an unfair expectation which was fueled by lack of knowledge. And that's why now you're sitting here, you wanted something out of me. You really can't want a dry shirt when I'm inside the pool from me. I have no dry shirt to give you. I'm in the pool. Find something to need in this season. Let's pause it there.
Yeah, you see, thank you very much.
Very profound.
You exactly. You've discussed what I was going to discuss about the issues in this. Because now let me lay out to you before I go to the act of service. Sometimes you need to check the season at which, like you said, you need to check the season at which you are demanding or you are waiting for something. Because check it out. You let's take for an example. You want an act of service, or you want a physical touch on somebody who is not feeling well for that season, somebody who is not even in a mood for another company. But now you take it when they do not do that, when they do not communicate like that, you take it as if you are now not loved, but you are asking for something at the wrong timing. We can then put it now, the light more into it. You can have somebody who has been working well. They have their business going very well, or they have their career going very well. They've got abundance for that season. Now, it is easy for them to give you gifts as you want them, as frequent as you want them. But now you are looking for gifts at the season where there is a shortage. But you don't realize what you're looking for is not that it is not there. It actually it is not there, but it's not that they don't want to give it to you, it's that it is not there for them to give it to you. So therefore it does not translate in you not being loved. So those are the stuff that we need to be careful about. I mean, imagine if I have to give you words of affirmation in a relationship while I'm depressed myself. It's going to be impossible for me to lift you up if I'm on the ground. But therefore, it does not mean that when I don't say those words, you are not loved. That's all I'm saying. So let's discuss this. Then we go into other questions. Acts of service. The people that want an act of service. They don't want anything, but they want you to help them carry their load. This is showing love. Have you ever had a situation where your plate is full, but somebody wants to fill it up, and when you refuse, they say, "No, but you don't love me." Why is it that you are accommodating your friend? Why is that you're accommodating your sister or your brother? But now the plate is full. Instead of them helping you, they want to add more. But for you, the love language, which you understand, is the act of service. And the next question, this thing of act of service, now I want to extrapolate it. The next question that I want to ask, and I wanted to go to Komoto. Komoto, do you give love the way you want to receive it? Because the Bible says, do what you want others to do unto you, right? But now, if you give love the way you want to receive it, it's almost like hypocrites. But the catch about that is that the issue is that the way you give it, it might not be the way they communicate it on the other side. What are the issues with something like that? That does something like that still stand, that you are communicating the love the way you want to receive it?
Yeah, so I think, Pastor David, what I would say is that, obviously the way, I think human nature, let me put it, it's selfish. And whether we like it or not, human nature is selfish. And I don't think that most of the time we do our best to give the best to another, but we always expect to get something. And for me, my husband and I are completely different. He's a choleric, I'm a melancholy. So we are completely different, human beings. He does things his way. I've got my way of doing things. But, in the years, we have learned to be able to be accommodative to each other. There's a whole lot of things probably that he still doesn't like about me, but he has learned to live and accommodate them. Same as myself. And I think that helps you to be able to move closer in loving each other in the way that makes you comfortable. So I don't think that, my giving you love the way I expect to be loved, I don't think it really happens in this world, because I think only God can love us purely without attachment. But as human beings, we learn a skill of being able to love one another in a way that makes each other comfortable. And I think, in the past 18 months, we have learned the tricks of dealing with each other. I like what Ndate Mama Bolo says, to say that, this love languages, they go with seasons. And, I cannot particularly say that this is the love language that speaks to me. It depends on the season. maybe in that season, I'm in a season whereby I want to connect with God. And if you're going to use a certain love language on me, it might not work. But, as you grow together in love, are able to, to find ways of dealing with such.
Thank you very much. I've got some Tandy. Let's go to you shortly. I want to know.
Yes.
Do you have any personal experience about any type of love? Now, in your introduction, you said a lot about what you went through, and in short, what are the things that in this love that types of love that you had, and they ended up abusing you, or they ended up causing you pain? So what is your personal experience in the above type of love?
I feel like you guys are gonna even laugh at me because it's in the gifts part. So I mentioned on the intro that I was conned by my ex-husband, and I think he conned me because with the question you just asked now, do we give love as we expect and all that? So because expect, gifts, or rather I'm this person who's always like showering people with gifts and all that. I think I did that with him, and I found myself in a position where he actually used that because he knew if he asked for this, I'll get. And for me, I just enjoyed the fact that he actually enjoyed receiving gifts, but without me having, or rather, I didn't see it as him just trying to take from me. So I literally cleaned my savings, my educational plans for my children, because I was trying to please him by giving him, or showing him love by giving him gifts. So I think that was something that kind of got me to that position where, yes, I love receiving gifts and I give gifts to people, but I also need to also watch, as in the amount I put out there, because I was quite hit badly financially, and I didn't hate the fact that I did it out of love, but I just hated the fact that at the end of the day, I actually realized this person had now his own plan behind this whole thing of knowing that I love giving gifts, and I'd buy a car if I have to buy him a car.
Yeah. No, this is it becomes a problem when the love that you believe in becomes an abusive kind of a love.
Yeah.
So, and Tata Mamabol.
Yes, sir.
What do you do when you feel you're not loved anymore? Now you are sitting there, you're feeling Basandra, more Bansky Mulods. What do you do? Straight. You're more benching. So what happens?
Let's start with the beta answer to that question. The beta answer to that question is that is inherent to a relationship, the season of feeling and love. The wisdom is the ability to handle those seasons.
Yeah.
So you will fail even before you start in marriage or in a relationship of any sort if you go in with the thought that I must feel love every day. I will and I must make them feel, and underline the word feel. I must always feel. I think it was one prophet in the Old Testament who says, God is a God who likes hiding himself. We can see his works, but even when we don't see him, the fact that sometimes we don't feel the love, it doesn't mean it's not there. Maturity is to make peace with the seasons when you don't feel love and be able to manage them. One of the sources of gender-based violence is the mismanagement of seasons of not feeling love. You start wanting to extract it out of the others. It's okay, today where I am, it was raining during the day, and it's not raining anymore. I did nothing with the rain, and it is gone, and I moved on to something else. Your marriage will be like that. But I need to say something, and that might sound controversial in the presence of anointed, tongue talking, heaven going, devil kicking men and women of God. We have been taught by the church to pursue marriage at all costs.
Yes,
but
I was about to come there.
But
I was about to come there.
But the teaching on love has been shorthand.
Mm.
So you guys wanted us to stay in marriage. You basically expect us to stay on the N1 from Mosina to town without the fuel, because you taught us the marriage, the N1, but you didn't teach us the love, the fuel. And there, somewhere along the highway, I ran out of fuel, and you demonize because you say, how can you not stay in that relationship? And here's the other thing. We then glorify longer marriages, you know. And those who have been in longer marriages, they also, because of the protocol of the church, they forget to tell us the longevity of this marriage is based upon my ability to manage the in-season and the out-season.
Amen.
It doesn't really mean I'm more anointed. It doesn't mean I'm more. It actually means I have actually had to sit through some of the things. So we were taught marriage but not love. We now want longer marriages with short love. And I want to put the warning out there. Not being loved frustrates the gifts and the calling of God in your life. So once you are in a place where you can love, where they can love you, the gift of God and the calling in your life start to be frustrated, and it will be shrinked. And it is just a matter of time before we see the paramedic declaring you dead on the scene right there. And unfortunately, that's what happens in our journey. So you were saying to me in your honorable question that then what do I do in a season when I feel I'm not loved? That's when you switch to that love that is for self. But maunganayo, good luck to you. And that's why it's important that you must visit that love. Because there comes a season in a love relationship where only you can love yourself effectively until the other one joins you along the way. Remember, your relationship does not depend upon their giving of love. It depends upon the exchange of love between the two of you. There will be a day where I won't give as much as you. I have I'm in a beautiful relationship, but I've had another one before. I've had another marriage before. But the value of where I am now is when the other person can give more than I can, they do their thing. You do you, boo. You just give me all the way, and I just sit because I can't. But there are things I can do more than she can, and when I do those things more than she can, we are not competing in being the most famous one in the other one's life. I am not Michael Jackson competing for a stage in her life. I'm just a Frederick, you know, and I can only give her a Frederick. And unfortunately, if she needs more than a Frederick, then her peak went wrong. Like I said earlier, the peak is everything. So sometimes the things you need and you don't find in the person, it's not that the person doesn't have, it's because the person never even had them. And you are devolving and evolving and growing. You will start to need things you never needed when we met. Don't accuse me of changing when we are growing. But I want to emphasize this because, Doctor, this is critical what you've just asked. The season when you feel unloved. You don't want to listen on radio talking when they are interviewing somebody who's going through a season of feeling unloved. You really don't want to hear that interview. You really don't want to go to church. You don't want to go to church and listen to someone from a pastor who is currently feeling unloved and unrespected. You don't want to hear a woman's seminar where the Mamfundis is currently feeling unloved. The sermon there is it's a missile from Iraq. I can tell you now, a missile bomb has nothing on those people. It's worse. So let me just throw something that is irrelevant. Learn to manage your language when you're going through the seasons of unlovedness, because you might prolong the season with your words. Point number one. So when going through seasons of feeling unloved, know that it is part and parcel of the journey. One, when you're going through the seasons when you're feeling unloved, just know that the feeling of not being loved does not necessarily serve as proof that the lover has left the house. But more importantly, manage your mouth. Manage your mouth, the things you say, because you are dangerous in the season of feeling unloved. You are very dangerous. So manage thy words. And secondly, manage thy places. Manage the place you go, because you might bump, if you are a lady, you might bump into Denzel Washington while you are out there feeling unloved. And Denzel might take you to Paris and you might feel loved until you return from Paris. So manage that season. I said manage your words, manage your places. And also the third thing, manage your appetite. The things you start. That season will give you appetite. You might crave drinking something. You might crave a certain type of music. You might crave going to certain places. Abanye who have been married for long and they're also Christian, they can start craving to go home to see their mother, which is a worst mistake, because when you get there and you can't manage your mouth, so you fail to manage your places. Now you are in a place. When you're in that place, you can't manage your mouth.
Let me say this. You know, you put it down so well. You know, we need to be realistic. We need to be realistic, Uguti, as the church. Sometimes we force people to go on when that's why I asked this question. It was an intentional question, because you get forced to continue more, but if you don't continue, then they're gonna start saying, Uguti, now you are won over by demons. They don't realize, Uguti, the love that is being served on the table is no longer there. You know, it's like you saying that it's demonic that you ran out of petrol. But when you started the car with the half tank, now it ran out. Now how can that become demonic? And another thing is this: once you get forced into continuing with at the table where there is no love, it brings a lot of frustrations. Even the words that are not in a dictionary will come out, because now you're sitting at the table, you're waiting for food called love, and no one is serving it. Now it becomes a problem. It even changes your character. By the time start discussing it, there's a new character that came out of you simply because there was no love. And there is no love, and we have to accept. And I think what I love is that they say action speaks louder than words, and it should be like that when you love somebody. But once you don't love them, don't show them, tell them. Because by the time you show them that you don't love them, you leave them with scars. So if you don't love somebody, please tell them, please say, and you must understand what there are seasons, and Lento are seasons. You know, it's really powerful. And I'll challenge you, Uguti. It is difficult, and the Bible says it is difficult to retrieve those that tasted the goodness of God and enjoyed it and left. Right? So if you have somebody who is an ex-Christian, now they no longer go to Bible. They'll open Bible for you and ridicule you in 5 seconds, because they were once there and now they tasted the goodness of God. Now they decided to leave even when there was good. Now let's do the same thing with somebody who has been in a relationship and then they left. So the issues are, if you have somebody who has been in a relationship and they tasted the goodness of it and they left, it becomes difficult to now impress them. It becomes difficult for them to see even the little gestures, because guess what? At some point they were driving on the highway and there were little gestures, there were a good affirmation, they had an accident, there was a separation. So now when you start with the same thing, they go, nyazi la lento la izophelela khona. You see, so it becomes issues. And I also feel that people must understand the type of a person you are dating. If I've been staying alone, and I think Mama Bolo can say, if you've been staying alone as a man for long, it becomes difficult to now create a space for somebody, because you now become self-sufficient. Even the stuff that a normal person would take them as love, you don't see them because you are self-sufficient. Because you see, and all those things, you cannot force somebody to create a space for you. And this is what increases the gender-based violence stats. It's because you are trying to force a space, life space singing. And they're now no longer serving what you want, which is love. They are no longer having a space for you, or they don't have a space for you. The fact that when you love, you must not force a space. Having said that, there's this question now for Pastor Mokhoti. There's a question rolling down for you. You've been married for so long, and we wonder, some people they get this Luda's love, and after getting the Luda's love, all of a sudden things go wrong. Some errors, and then they never get it to the level of endurance. You know, how did your experience in this, you being married for 18 years and serving alongside your husband, né? And you know at church that those beautiful ladies who sing very well, who can move their heels very well, and they want to see them next to they want to see themselves next to the pastor. How did you manage all those? How did you manage?
So thank you, Dr. David. So it's so funny because the way my husband and I met, we got married within 6 months of our courtship. And the interesting part, a lot of people would say that this marriage will never last. There was a lot of things, but one thing that I can say is that we kind of like agreed on certain things. So the day that he proposed to me, I was plain and blank with him, and I said to him, we've been dating for 6 months, and you're now asking me to marry you. And the first thing that I need to tell you, if I say yes to you, you must know that none of us is going to leave this marriage. We're going into this covenant and we're going to make it work. And many times and the first 3 years, to tell you the truth, were not the easiest of them all, because we didn't date for 3 years or whatever. It was the most difficult 3 years. And I think if I would have put my mind to say that within 2 years or a year, if I don't feel loved or whatever, I'm just going to pack my bags and go. But I put myself in a situation whereby we agreed that when things are hard, we will find ways for a solution. And we fought through, and we made it a point that we don't leave this marriage, no matter how hard it might have been. And I like what Nate Mama Bulu was saying, to say that, when you are a young lady growing in the church, there are certain things that you are not told. You are always told that, God doesn't want a divorce and all that. But, the nitty-gritties of the things that you go through in marriage, it becomes really things that build you as a person. But, it's how you manage the relationship that will help you to be able to go through all the storms. And really, that's why I've got a passion for marriages, because I learned the hard way. The first 3 years were tough, but the Lord was good to us, and and there were people that surrounded us. I mean, I remember when we on the day of our wedding, one of it's an elder brother that my husband invited us to CFEC and said, please come and join us so that you can be part of this team of lovers, and then you can be able to grow. So from our first year, before we went for our first honeymoon, we went to a weekend seminar with older couples, and we realized that this difficult things, it's not only us that are going through. Even people that are married for 15 years, they're still going through the same challenges that we are experiencing in our first year of marriage. And we continually went to the seminars year after year until we even became members of the executive. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes I feel that the church doesn't do justice to people that are getting married. And that's why, we need to invest ourselves in these people's lives and make sure that we impart the knowledge and we become honest with the challenges. There is no marriage that will just drop from heaven and become a wonderful marriage. Marriage is or happiness and love is what you build as a couple. You wake up and say, this is how we want to see our marriage. Work hard on and make sure that
thank you very much. And I can tell you one thing. Ubabu Tabo is supporting you, and he says, look, we're gonna be married for another 118 years. and for me to see something like that, your partner going through and supporting you in what you do, it's one of those things that gives you power. And I love that. I want to ask, the MK team is now on their feet. Pela, you went through the time that we usually go through, So Manje, what do we do? So I want us to say our parting shot about this thing. Love is beautiful. And I thank each one of you for unpacking it the way you unpacked it. Love is so beautiful. It is so beautiful when it's received by the right people, for the right reasons, with the right people, with the right mentality as well. We sometimes fall short of expressing or feeling it because of mere communication. And what I've learned today with everyone that has contributed is that love is so nice to feel, and one has to go in it wide awake. And even when you don't feel loved, I always say the time when love is abundant, capture the moment, smile about it, that when you don't feel loved, you go and retrieve those moments where you are happy while your partner is recovering from whatever they're recovering from. But Tina Sitana is instant things about. So when there's an instant love, necessarily the instant love, you forget what I was once loved, So we need to carry that through. It must be something that we keep on withdrawing from, and then to keep us going. So I want, our parting shots. Let's start with Tandy. Your parting shots. See Valel and Daba. Hey, I would like to thank you guys. This has been amazing. We Val team, you didn't even tell us about your Duke on Flick. Is doing so well. I saw you've organized the concert for women and children. It was amazing. I saw your work. I do my homework. So now, tell us a bit before you exit about the Duke on Flick. Now I must get my orders ready about the Dukes. There are some people here that needs to wear Dukes, eh?
Really nice. Well, my parting shot is, I must say, I've learned so much from this, and I would love every member of this panel to actually visit to conflict. I think our ladies need you. I mean, the stuff that I've learned personally, I wish actually I had broadcasted this live on our page. A lot of women would have learned so much. I try after this to actually see if I can't put it there, but I'd like to invite you guys to actually come through and let's coach and give some advice and teach. I mean, this particular topic, very powerful, and I felt it's something that we need to just put it out there. Let's have sessions or any other session, or maybe you come through to some of the events and come and talk on the topic. We book you as guest. I think you did so much justice to the topic.
Thank you very much. Mama Bolo, you part of those compliments. Your parting shots, Baba.
Well, thank you very much for organizing this. This is, and I can't overemphasize that. One of the things that I would, two parts of my parting shot. Number one, I just hope that the church should start doing more on issues of love. And I've been very, and that's why we wrote the peak matters, because we realized that when you divorce, when you break up from a relationship, to some extent, you might feel the same pain. Even though the other one didn't have a marriage certificate, but they had a certain pain. The church never provide counseling for those. But when you say, I'm marrying someone tomorrow or next week, you go through this series of counseling. And I worry that the person who I need counseling when I was divorcing, and I couldn't get it. But I got counseling when I was getting married again. And that is, I'm excited when I'm getting married. I'm excited. She's wonderful. Everything. I even forget that I am the one who broke the previous relationship. You see, then you cancel. I don't hear anything. I just want to tick the box and go to honeymoon at that time. You see, I should have been cancelled when there was a breakup, when there was a divorce. They should have sat me down and they say what went wrong, and then they should have put me through a program. I want to say to church leaders out there, ningabazondi labantu who have had breakups, who are in separation, all those other, because they're gonna go and marry your sister or your daughter or somebody else, and don't treat them as special cases though. But I'm just saying they need their due course of support. That's one. The last thing I want to close with this tagline: things don't end wrong, they start wrong. Work on your peak.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning, work on your peak. And for those of you who are in relationship, I want to give you a warning. And this is a very serious warning. Stop the break in and break out thing. I can tell you, once you break out of your relationship, even if we reconcile you, you're not back. And I know they encouraged you and they inspired you and they told you are back, you're better than before. But if you keep this thing of yours of I'm leaving, and then you leave, and then 3 weeks later you want to come back, I want to tell you, you are doing yourself an injustice. Stay there and stay there and stay there and choose that person over and over again. And because I am pro long-lasting relationships that nurtures love. But Koela, this thing, I remember my partner telling me, Koela, this thing, how you via. The choice, the option, anything. Because guys, to tell you the truth, once you leave and then you come back, you are never the same. You are a suspect now. Remember when we arrest you and you go to jail, when you come back, you are an ex-convict. And you have got a new definition. So however, before you cheat on your partner, just know, after that cheating, things are never going to be the same again. Never again. Before you lie about them, just know, things are never going to be the same again. Before you touch them and beat them up and push them against the wall, just know, you can apologize, but things will never be the same. Do you want to give up this season of your love, the potential of your relationship, just because you feel upset? Hamben garden, man. That's why all people who are in a relationship, you all need a garden where you can go out there and do something when your head is upset. Find a garden, put some manure there. Whenever you met, go put some manure and do something else. Because if you say things that you don't want to say and do things you can't repair that. Only God can help you there. We can't do nothing. We can cancel you. Even if you go to a psychologist who have more degrees least than a thermometer, you will still end up at the same particular point. So my parting thought is that things don't end wrong; they start wrong.
Thank you very much.
The cause of your end is in the beginning. Thank you very much. That's why the Bible says in the beginning there was God. And unfortunately, because he was there in the beginning, my confidence now is he's gonna be with me till the end. And just that line, in the beginning, God, it tells me that in the end, there will be, if there was such an English, the end will be more God than the beginning. So
Yeah,
that is that. Manage your pick, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending time with me. I never have met you before, but you sound like I know you from somewhere, all of you. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors, in your relationships, and all. And I speak a blessing, even about for your children, because they have borrowed us your presence to be here. You all look all lovely, and I thank you very much for making me feel important. Thank you.
yeah. You, like I said, that you quite a speaker. I do my homework, by the way. That's why you feel like you know all of us. It's because the homework that we do. There's an MK team behind everything. You'll meet the MK team soon. And thank you, thank you very much. Thank you. You'll meet the MK team. I've got a wonderful team behind all this. They do the homework. You are not picked by fluke, by the way. You are properly picked for the work. And I wanted to ask you, the MK team is asking me, can we ask you to share the pick letter, please? You can share the pick letter into the letter you're talking about, the pick letter. You can please share it into the platform, or you can share it into my phone, and I can share that. We really would love to have a look at that. And I've got Nano who's gonna play a song for us. You know, I love the song. You saying?
Okay, what I would do is I will forward you the book that is currently on print is Winning Myself Back. It's a beautiful piece of material. It will assist you in managing yourself to navigate your calling in God's ministry. It is not based on Christian literature, but of course it is on 2 Kings chapter 7, I think is verse 14. Why sit here until we die? That's what the essence of the book is, to say don't sit until you die. But when it says don't sit until you die, it's not marriage. It's just to say, even if you take your marriage and put it at one spot, it dies. Keep moving it. You might lose divorce along the way, because if you stay at the same point, you will suffer the same demon over and over again. Take your loved one and run, even if it's around the house. Do something like that. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.